little bit before chapter 4.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. Okay. All right. Great.
Good evening. Last time we were together, we read the first 3 chapters of Samuel and that beautiful story of how Samuel was born and the beautiful story of how Samuel was raised at Shiloh. He actually slept in the Holy of Holies, is what it looks like. And also how God talked to him and how God actually treated him like a grown-up and said, you know, kid, this is what I'm going to do to Eli and his sons. And this is what Samuel had to report to Eli. And that's kind of how chapter 3 ends. So Eli says, it is the Lord, let him do what seems good to him. As Samuel grew up, the Lord was with him and let none of his words fall to the ground. And all Israel from Dan to Beersheba knew that Samuel was a trustworthy prophet of the Lord. The Lord continued to appear at Shiloh, for the Lord revealed himself to Samuel at Shiloh by the word of the Lord. And the word of Samuel came to all Israel. In those days, the Philistines mustered for war against Israel, and Israel went out to battle against them. They encamped at Ebenezer, and the Philistines encamped at Aphek. The Philistines drew up in line against Israel, and when the battle was joined, Israel was defeated by the Philistines, who killed about 4,000 men on the field of battle. When the troops came to the camp, the elders of Israel said, why has the Lord put us to rout today before the Philistines? Let us bring the ark of the covenant of the Lord here from Shiloh, so that he may come among us and save us from the power of our enemies. So the people sent to Shiloh and brought from there the ark of the covenant of the Lord of hosts, who is enthroned on the cherubim. The 2 sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were there with the ark of the covenant of God. When the ark of the covenant of the Lord came into the camp, all Israel gave a mighty shout so that the earth resounded. When the Philistines heard the noise of the shouting, they said, what does this great shouting in the camp of the Hebrews mean? When they learned that the ark of the Lord had come to the camp, the Philistines were afraid, for they said, gods have come into the camp. They also said, woe to us, for nothing like this has happened before. Woe to us, who can deliver us from the power of these mighty gods? These are the gods who struck the Egyptians with every sort of plague in the wilderness. Take courage and be men, O Philistines, in order not to become slaves to the Hebrews as they have been to you. Be men and fight. So the Philistines fought. Israel was defeated, and they fled, everyone to his home. There was a very great slaughter, for there fell of Israel 30,000 foot soldiers. The ark of God was captured, and the 2 sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, died. A man of Benjamin ran from the battle line and came to Shiloh the same day with his clothes torn and with earth upon his head. When he arrived, Eli was sitting upon his seat by the road, watching, for his heart trembled for the ark of God. When the man came into the city and told the news, all the city cried out. When Eli heard the sound of the outcry, he said, "What is this uproar?" Then the man came quickly and told Eli. Now, Eli was 98 years old, and his eyes were set so that he could not see. The man said to Eli, "I have just come from the battle. I fled from the battle today." He said, "How did it go, my son?" The messenger replied, "Israel has fled before the Philistines, and there has also been a great slaughter among the troops. Your two sons also, Hophni and Phinehas, are dead, and the ark of the Lord has been captured." When he mentioned the ark of God, Eli fell over backward from his seat by the side of the gate, and his neck was broken, and he died, for he was an old man and heavy. He had judged Israel 40 years. Now his daughter-in-law, the wife of Phinehas, was pregnant, about to give birth. When she heard the news that the ark of God was captured and that her father-in-law and her husband were dead, she bowed and gave birth, for her labor pains overwhelmed her. As she was about to die, the women attending her said to her, "Do not be afraid, for you have borne a son." But she did not answer or give heed. She named the child Ichabod, meaning the glory has departed from Israel, because the ark of God had been captured, and because of her father-in-law and her husband. She said, "The glory has departed from Israel, for the ark of God has been captured." When the Philistines captured the ark of God, they brought it from Ebenezer to Ashdod. Then the Philistines took the ark of God and brought it into the house of Dagon and placed it beside Dagon. When the people of Ashdod rose early the next day, there was Dagon fallen on his face to the ground before the ark of the Lord. So they took Dagon and put him back in his place. But when they rose early on the next morning, Dagon had fallen on his face to the ground before the ark of the Lord, and the head of Dagon and both his hands were lying cut off upon the threshold. Only the trunk of Dagon was left to him. This is why the priests of Dagon and all who enter the house of Dagon do not step on the threshold of Dagon in Ashdod to this day. The hand of the Lord was heavy upon the people of Ashdod, and he terrified and struck them with tumors, both in Ashdod and in its territory. And when the inhabitants of Ashdod saw how things were, they said, "The ark of the God of Israel must not remain with us, for his hand is heavy on us and on our God, Dagon." So they sent and gathered together all the lords of the Philistines and said, "What shall we do with the ark of the God of Israel. The inhabitants of Gath replied, let the ark be moved on to us. So they moved the ark of the God of Israel to Gath. But after they had brought it to Gath, the hand of the Lord was against the city, causing a very great panic. He struck the inhabitants of the city, both young and old, so that tumors broke out on them. So they sent the ark of the God of Israel to Ekron. But when the ark of God came to Ekron, the people of Ekron cried out, why have they brought around to us the ark of the God of Israel to kill us and our people? They sent, therefore, and gathered together all the lords of the Philistines and said, send away the ark of the God of Israel and let it return to its own place, that it may not kill us and our people. For there was a deathly panic throughout the whole city. The hand of God was very heavy there. Those who did not die were stricken with tumors, and the cry of the city went up to heaven. The ark of the Lord was in the country of the Philistines 7 months. Then the Philistines called for the priests and the diviners and said, what shall we do with the ark of the Lord? Tell us what we should send with it to its place. They said, if you send away the ark of the God of Israel, do not send it empty, but by all means return him a guilt offering. Then you will be healed and will be ransomed. Will not his hand then turn from you? And they said, what is the guilt offering that we shall return to him? They answered, 5 gold tumors and 5 gold mice, according to the number of the lords of the Philistines. For the same plague was upon all of you and upon your lords. So you must make images of your tumors and images of your mice that ravage the land, and give glory to the God of Israel. Perhaps he will lighten his hand on you and your gods and your land. Why should you harden your hearts as the Egyptians and Pharaoh hardened their hearts? After he had made fools of them, did they not let the people go and they departed? Now then, get ready a new cart and 2 milk cows that have never borne a yoke, and yoke the cows to the cart, but take their calves home away from them. Take the ark of the Lord and place it on the cart, and put in a box at its side the figures of gold, which you are returning to him as a guilt offering. Then send it off and let it go its way, and watch. If it goes up on the way to its own land, to Beth Shemesh, then it is he who has done us this great harm. But if not, then we shall know that it is not his hand that struck us. It happened to us by chance. Mm-hmm. The men did so. They took 2 milk cows and yoked them to the cart and shut up their calves at home. They put the ark of the Lord on the cart and the box with the gold mice and the images of their tumors. The cows went straight in the direction of Beth Shemesh along one highway, lowing as they went. They turned neither to the right nor to the left. And the lords of the Philistines went after them as far as the border of Beth Shemesh. Now, the people of Beth Shemesh were reaping their wheat harvest in the valley. When they looked up and saw the ark, they went with rejoicing to meet it. The cart came into the field of Joshua of Beth Shemesh and stopped there. A large stone was there. So they split up the wood of the cart and offered the cows as a burnt offering to the Lord. The Levites took down the ark of the Lord and the box that was beside it, in which were the gold objects, and set them upon the large stone. Then the people of Beth Shemesh offered burnt offerings and presented sacrifices on that day to the Lord. When the 5 lords of the Philistines saw it, they returned that day to Ekron. These are the gold tumors which the Philistines returned as a guilt offering to the Lord. 1 for Ashdod, 1 for Gaza, 1 for Ashkelon, 1 for Gath, 1 for Ekron. Also the gold mice, according to the number of all the cities of the Philistines belonging to the 5 lords, both fortified cities and unwalled villages. The great stone beside which they set down the ark of the Lord is a witness to this day in the field of Joshua of Beth Shemesh. The descendants of Jeconiah did not rejoice with the people of Beth Shemesh when they greeted the ark of the Lord, and he killed 70 men of them. The people mourned because the Lord had made a great slaughter among the people. Then the people of Beth Shemesh said, "Who is able to stand before the Lord, this holy God? To whom shall he go so that we may be rid of him?" So they sent messengers to the inhabitants of Kiriath Jearim, saying, "The Philistines have returned the ark of the Lord. Come down and take it up to you." And the people of Kiriath Jearim came and took up the ark of the Lord and brought it to the house of Abinadab on the hill. They consecrated his son Eleazar to have charge of the ark of the Lord. From the day that the ark was lodged at Kiriath Jearim, a long time passed, some 20 years, and all the house of Israel lamented after the Lord. Then Samuel said to all the house of Israel, "If you are returning to the Lord with all your heart, then put away the foreign gods and the Astartes from among you. Direct your heart to the Lord and serve him only, and he will deliver you out of the hand of the Philistines." So Israel put away the Baals and the Astartes, and they served the Lord only. Then Samuel said, "Gather all Israel at Mizpah, and I will pray to the Lord for you." So they gathered at Mizpah and drew water and poured it out before the Lord. They fasted that day and said, "We have sinned against the Lord." And Samuel judged the people of Israel at Mizpah. When the Philistines heard that the people of Israel had gathered at Mizpah, the lords of the Philistines went up against Israel. And when the people of Israel heard of it, they were afraid of the Philistines. The people of Israel said to Samuel, "Do not cease to cry out to the Lord our God for us, and pray that he may save us from the hand of the Philistines." So Samuel took a sucking lamb and offered it as a whole burnt offering to the Lord. Samuel cried out to the Lord for Israel, and the Lord answered him. As Samuel was offering up the burnt offering, the Philistines drew near to attack Israel. But the Lord thundered with a mighty voice that day against the Philistines and threw them into confusion, and they were routed before Israel. And the men of Israel went out of Mizpah and pursued the Philistines, and they struck them down as far as beyond Beth-kar. Then Samuel took a stone and set it up between Mizpah and Jeshanah and named it Ebenezer, for he said, "Thus far the Lord has helped us." So the Philistines were subdued and did not again enter the territory of Israel. The hand of the Lord was against the Philistines all the days of Samuel. The towns that the Philistines had taken from Israel were restored to Israel, from Ekron to Gath, and Israel recovered their territory from the hand of the Philistines. There was peace also between Israel and the Amorites. Samuel judged Israel all the days of his life. He went on a circuit year by year to Bethel, Gilgal, and Mizpah, and he judged Israel in all these places. Then he would come back to Ramah, for his home was there. He administered justice there to Israel and built there an altar to the Lord.
One of our hymns has a line that says, it uses the word Ebenezer.
Yeah.
Come thou fount of every blessing.
That's it. Yes.
And the hymnal has dumbed down.
Oh, of course.
What do you mean?
So annoying. They take out all the interesting and obscure hymns, and they destroy hymns by some of their non-gendered language, which, like that. But this hymn says, "Here I place my Ebenezer,
right.
Something to this place I've come." And you will not find that in the 1982 hymnal, I'm pretty sure.
But that's the Ebenezer is the stone.
Yeah.
Well, what does it mean if I've never, and what I love about hymns like that, Becky, this is for Becky, right, is that I actually have no idea what it is. And I think it's quite cool to be into these worlds of the 18th century in this case.
Yeah. See, I think it may be in the 1982 hymn, because where would I have seen it otherwise? Maybe when I was researching hymns in general.
It's "O Thou Fount of Every Blessing" is the hymn.
Yes, one of the great hymns.
Right. Oh, yes, we have to.
I
don't think we sing it. I don't think we sing it during Lent, unfortunately.
Here it is. It's the second verse. Maybe we is. "Here I raise my Ebenezer.
Yeah, right.
Either by thy help I'm come. Right. And I hope by thy good pleasure safely to arrive at home." It's really a fabulous text.
Okay. It is.
What's the number?
I don't know. I'm looking at it in hymnary.com.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm interested in hymns for Lent because the hymnal has very few for Lent, specifically for Lent. So I'm looking for ones that
and they tend to be rather pedagogic.
Well, what do you mean
boring
by
is
that?
another word.
You know, they say,
yeah,
here we spend our 40 days, blah, blah, blah.
We're singing 40 days and 40
and
nights.
40 nights.
Sorry about that.
You know, I'm doing my reflection.
Oh, yes.
Okay. And I think there may be, well, let's see what you think after I finish the reflection.
You know what? I think maybe we'll sing
Yeah.
86. Not this Sunday, but
you're reflecting this coming Sunday.
I'm doing the first Sunday of Lent.
Oh, good.
And it's a little look at Lent. Well, through the big end of the telescope. Let's put it that way. Lent suddenly gets very small in this reflection.
Jim's reflection was very good today, I thought, or homily, I guess you'd say. Yeah,
he's good.
Yeah.
He did. He got laughs from us.
Right.
Oh, good. Yeah. Maybe I'll get a couple of laughs.
But he doesn't have a lot of strength in his voice.
Yeah.
No, he was better on when he spoke the last time he was with us. His voice was much stronger.
Much stronger.
And I think maybe he just didn't remember this because John had wanted him to wear the headpiece mic, and so Jim said to John, I will make an effort to speak more loudly, and he did last Sunday. Sunday. So you
mean today?
No, today he did not. But the last time whenever it was.
Oh yeah, I remember
5th.
being an acolyte, and he whispered. He says, "Would you get me a glass of water?"
Yeah.
And I think.
So
his voice is a little. I mean, it's not really bad, but it's he's had a couple of traumas.
You don't want him to have to struggle. And I was very grateful John was there.
Yes.
Because for some of the verses and prayers, they traded off.
Right.
That's good.
And
he read the gospel, John.
But he will not be here next Sunday because he's doing something for the diocese, some kind of seminar. So,
but it's not our Holy Communion Sunday anyway, is it?
Oh,
this
no,
Sunday.
no.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. John will be here this coming Sunday. It's the next time Jim preaches, he will not.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got mixed up.
Well, that was my fault.
Okay.
I'm always a week ahead because I just sent out the bulletin for the first Sunday in March. So I'll have to let Jim know that he won't have John. To help, but so we'll have to be sure to have good, strong acolytes for him that Sunday.
You know, today I'm going to the reading. It seemed a little odd and sort of a detour from the story of Samuel, this story of the Ark of the Covenant.
Oh no, I think it's pivotal, Larry. Don't you think?
It's what?
It's pivotal in the sense that
the
loss of the Ark frightens the Israelites, and they want a king to protect them.
They're scared to death, and they realize, I think, that the book before this is Ruth, but the book before Ruth is Judges, when everything is like total confusion, right? And the story of the Ark is one of those stories of total confusion. Mm-hmm. And it feeds right into chapter 8, which where the story of Samuel really picks up speed, it's not an interlude. I think it's part of the story.
No, I think it sets the stage for what.
Yeah. And what happens later.
They sort of hit rock bottom, don't they?
Yeah.
I actually didn't understand one of the transitions, and now I was reading along online, and now I can't find where I was reading because I have so many stupid windows open. But when they go back and that person kills.
Oh, because they were still in
70 people.
Still in Philistine territory there. So they hadn't taken the Ark to Israel yet. They just sent it to another city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the Philistines set the cows loose.
Right.
And the cows pick their own way.
Right.
To go back. And they end up at, I forget the name of the city, Beth Shemesh or something.
Yeah.
Beth Shemesh is where the descendants of Jeconiah kill 70 men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's still a Philistine city, I think. That was my understanding.
Well, I think it's kind of where the ark kind of comes to rest. I think it's in Israel territory.
You think so? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because they talk, the Bible talks about the border at Beth Shemesh.
Yeah. And it says the Philistines have returned the ark of the Lord, come down and take it up to you. So why does this person who is in Israel kill the 70 men? I don't know.
That is.
Well, let me take a look.
Let's see if it says anything.
The descendants of Jeconiah did not rejoice with the people of Beth Shemesh when they greeted the ark of the Lord, and he killed 70 men of them. Oh,
okay. So the HarperCollins Study Bible says.
Yeah, what did they say?
The Septuagint gives us the descendants of Jeconiah, but we do not know who they were or why their failure to celebrate would have provoked the Lord to punish Beth Shemesh. The Masoretic text says that the people angered the Lord by looking into the ark.
Oh, well, that's not here.
It in the version I have online, which is the revised, it has a footnote.
Okay.
It says he killed some of the people of Beth Shemesh because they looked into the ark.
Okay.
But I thought the he was Jeconiah, but
me too. Yeah.
But God killed Jeconiah. Yeah, because then it says the Lord had made a great slaughter.
Yeah, so the Lord killed them. Oh, that's great.
Because the Lord had made a great slaughter among the people. And that's why the people of Beth Shemesh says, oh, let's foist the ark on this next town.
Right.
Which was Kiriath Jearim. Yeah. Thanks. That kind of escaped me a little bit.
No, good. I think that's sort of.
Yeah.
Why do people name? Now I've lost it. What were the names of the priest's son, Eli's name? One was Phinehas.
Hophni and Phinehas.
So why in the 19th century are people still naming their children Phineas when he was a bad guy?
Because there's another Phineas in the Bible.
Yeah,
there's a Phineas who wandered with Moses for 40 years.
Oh, good.
And he was cool.
Okay.
But
well, I can top that. I used to work with a lot of data from the South, kind of a couple of generations back. And so we saw all these names, and there was actually somebody named Nebuchadnezzar.
No way.
Well, Ichabod too. That was
Ichabod is it's a bad karma name. Yeah. And Ichabod is in what's that? The Headless Horseman?
Yeah.
The Washington Irving story.
Crane.
Ichabod Crane, right.
So,
God.
Anyway, it's a great story.
It is.
Yeah,
it is
indeed.
You were so right. It unfolds, and it's true. I mean, this was dramatic. The whole vision of Eli sitting on the road when the messenger comes, and then falling over when it's a dramatic tale.
It's good detail, and it starts out traumatic with what's her name, Hannah, mumbling in prayer, and he says, "You're drunk. Get out of here." It's like a novel in a way, isn't it? Yeah,
or soap opera.
Yeah, soap opera. Yeah.
I'm going to stop the recording before we get too much.
Get too far.